despite a White House attorney predicting it would be all over by Thanksgiving, Robert Mueller's investigation on Russia and the Trump campaign appears to be going full steam ahead. Found out over the holiday that Michael Flynn's legal team cut off communications with the president's attorneys. And my next guest writes this about that op-ed. The tantalizing question remains, what evidence does Flynn have that Mueller wants or can use? Judge Napolitano wrote that. Our Fox News senior judicial analyst here to talk about it. How you doing, Judge?
Good morning, Bill.
You. Can you answer that question?
No, I can't answer that question. I can tell you the backstory, which is that the president, through his lawyers, and General Flynn, through his lawyers, entered into a written agreement in which they agreed to share communications and share documents and never point fingers at each other in the Bob Mueller investigation. Mr. Mueller is investigating the behavior of both of them in the time period when the general was advising then Mr. Donald Trump. On Thanksgiving Eve, the general's lawyers withdrew from that agreement because they want to speak to Robert Mueller. And 3 days ago, on Monday of this week, they did speak to Mueller. The only reason for speaking to him is to say, what can we give you and what can you give us? The general is facing about a half a dozen felonies and several decades in jail. He wants to reduce that exposure. In order to reduce that exposure, he has to give Mueller something. So this is a circular argument. And back to your question, what can he give him?
Fundamental language here now. So you have attorneys, as you write, in the White House who want to cooperate fully with Mueller.
Right.
You have attorneys in the White House who say this is an overreach. Hang on, we're the executive branch.
Right.
And now you have John Kelly, chief of staff.
A non-lawyer resolving the dispute between them.
Why is that significant?
It is significant in that the president has chosen a non-lawyer to resolve a legal dispute. The legal issue is, will the voluntary surrender of these documents impair the presidency of Donald Trump or a future presidency? That's what Don McGahn, and he said this publicly, the White House General Counsel, the White House Legal Counsel, is worried about. So you have the full-time federal government lawyers who represent the presidency saying, let's do one thing. You have the outside lawyers who represent the president as a person who want to do the other. And you have a non-lawyer, John Kelly, resolving the disputes. In the middle of this arrives this letter on Thanksgiving Eve, after the president had left for Mar-a-Lago, from General Flynn's lawyer saying, we're not part of the agreement anymore. You're on your own, and we're going to negotiate with Mueller. Now, General Flynn has been at Donald Trump's side from June of 2015, when Donald Trump began his campaign, to February of 2017, when Trump fired him.
Year and a half.
Yes. During that time period, he was probably a foreign agent for 2 foreign governments. At the same time, he was employed by the campaign and for 25 days employed by the federal government as the president's
You conclude in your piece, Thanksgiving's over, Mueller and his team remain hard at work. You would agree with that,
yes,
right?
I do.
Now, a couple things from our colleagues. First, James Rosen reporting this on Monday night. Lawyers for the president say they do not expect the special counsel's office to make a request to interview the president. The quote that James uses is there has been no internal or external discussions of that. If true, what does that mean?
That they are not interested in what the president has to say, either because the president is not a target or because they already know what he's going to say. My belief is that the president ultimately will be interviewed. He will be interviewed to see if he tells the truth, because one of these charges against General Flynn is that he did not tell the truth in an interview. It's a favorite technique of the FBI. If they don't have anything on you and they want something, they start talking to you, and if you mislead them substantially, bingo, that's the Martha Stewart crime. Not under oath, but lying to an FBI agent.
Another one of our colleagues, Greg Jarrett, writing online, he says the longer this case drags on, the more damage it does to a relationship between the President of the United States and trying to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I profoundly agree with that. That is the problem with independent counsels. They have a tendency to want to justify their behavior. Remember, a team of lawyers, very skilled, aggressive, experienced prosecutors, team of FBI agents, the best that Bob Mueller can get from his former colleagues, outside the normal chain of command, not answerable through the normal chain of command, wanting to justify their existence by indicting people, often indicting them for things that have nothing to do with their charge, have nothing to do with Russia or the campaign.
Last point then. Donald Trump Jr. is going to meet with the House Intelligence Committee, I believe, in a week's time.
Yes.
About that. Have you seen any evidence of collusion going back to 2016?
I have seen evidence of communication. Communication is not a crime. Agreement with a foreign power to help you when you're running a federal campaign is a crime. I have not seen evidence of
involving whom?
Involving anybody running the campaign. But I have not seen evidence of an agreement. I've seen evidence of communication, but not of an agreement.
Between the campaign.
Right. Communication, protected speech. Agreement, Mueller's interested.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
Real news, real reports, real things happening around the world right now.